1,200 meters to 400 to 800 to 1,600 meters, and the Texas Longhorns have the collegiate record. NCAA meet record held by the Ducks, and the Hoosiers of Indiana with the best time in the country in 2018. The top 12 teams have made it here to Texas A&M. They will all start at the same time. That 1,200 meter leg tends to string things out enough, but basically it comes down to how good your miler is, right?
Well, I know you say that. I probably put more stock on the other guys having a real value. I mean, remember, you got a 1,200 leadoff. You know, although, let me add this right as I say that, with the 1,200 leadoff, they tend to be a little tactical for the first 800. So no one guy gets a 5-second advantage, it seems, in most any DMR I've ever watched. There is New Mexico, who has perhaps the lead time when you make all the altitude adjustments. And we'll see what happens. But they do have Josh Kerr on the anchor. And boy, is that a blue chip anchor. There's no slouches in this race on the anchors.
But our stats guy, Dave Milner, has said that Oregon has clearly entered a team that is not really designed to give them their best time. They are going for the points in the mile tomorrow, where they have qualified 2 of their runners there. So we expect the race to be between New Mexico and perhaps Virginia Tech. But you know what? Anything can happen. There are batons in their hands. They can be dropped. They are subject to gravity. Things happen.
Well, they've got 3 sub-4-minute milers from Virginia. One running 12, one running 8, and then one running the 1,600 anchor leg. So we'll see what happens. The pace is very solid. Not tremendous, but it's Villanova right up in the lead. Ole Miss.
And we will see Sean Tobin of Ole Miss on the anchor. He qualified barely. Oh, he will run the 800. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. He qualified barely for the mile final earlier today, so they have moved him down to the 800. And it's Robert Domanic who will be running the mile leg for Ole Miss.
Domanic said one of his great thrills in life was to be invited this past indoor season to run in the Wanamaker Mile at the Milrose Games. I chatted with him before the race, and you know, we just kind of get into Ole Miss's great tradition and how great things were. They are the defending champion in this event. 3 laps to go, and they are right now slightly under 1 minute and 29 seconds for the first 3 laps, so they're running at about a 2:59 pace or so. Sean McGorty from Stanford has the lead.
So it's Pac-12 up front with Stanford and Oregon.
Blake Haney, sub-4-minute miler in his own right, running the 1,200 leg for Oregon. 1:59 through the first 800 meters of the race. And there's still speed left in these legs. I think this last lap will be the quickest of the last 400 of the race for these guys.
Notre Dame now into first place, but pretty much every team still in contention as we get closer to the end of this first 1,200 meter leg. That's going to be an interesting baton exchange, as they're pretty well bunched together in the front, where they just have 200 meters to go.
Jacob Dunford leading for Notre Dame here in this 1,200 leg. McGorty in third. Here comes Utah State with a great time on their own. James Butler for Utah State.
So it's Notre Dame, Utah State, Stanford,
and Villanova,
Oregon, and then Indiana. So it's going to be a little bit of a messy exchange here. Pretty bunched up. You got to watch out, because these guys are going to run on the 400. 2 fast laps on the second leg. And we don't see a whole lot of impact through this 400-meter leg. Maybe a little bit of moving around and a little bit more spreading out.
Notre Dame, 2:56.73 for their 1,200 leg.
New Mexico and Ole Miss are still well back at this point with the 400-meter leg. But of course, remember, we got Josh Kerr on the anchor for New Mexico. Utah State in the lead, followed by Stanford and Oregon right together. Then Villanova and Notre Dame as they get ready to hand off for the 800-meter leg. This will be a little less congested.
By the way, Dwight, this was the deepest distance medley relay 12 teams ever. And in the history of this event. 9 minutes 29 seconds it took to get in, which means when you average it out, the miler is going to run 3:57 in order to do it 9:29. Crazy fast time. Utah State, look at these guys.
Oregon back and forth. That's Nick Stanowczyk of Oregon, who fell in the mile. But let's take a look at this carnage from the exchange. These are always very, very dangerous. Anytime there's a baton involved, left of your screen, watch this. Boom, down goes Indiana.
That's like down goes Frazier.
That's what it was supposed to be. And also the athletes that are done, they don't get off the track and out of the way of the outgoing runners. That's always been a mind blower to me. Utah State continuing to lead, followed by Stanford. New Mexico is back in 6th, Virginia Tech in 7th. Ole Miss is in the rear. They're 12th with Sean Tobin running the 800 meters for the Bulldogs.
Oregon right back in the hunt here with Stanowczyk. There's Villanova.
Oregon into the lead, but on the outside now comes back Virginia Tech. From seemingly nowhere, Patrick Joseph running a crazy good 800 meters.
Joseph, a 147 plus 800 meter runner.
Well, he's showing all of that here.
Look at this. Look at this.
So Virginia Tech will hand off in the clear with about a 10-meter lead. Followed by Oregon, then Villanova, Notre Dame, Stanford. And New Mexico has gotten themselves well up there. They're up to 6th.
146.2 seconds for V-Tech. How great is that for Patrick Joseph?
But Josh Kerr is in 5th and only about 20 meters behind the leader. Virginia Tech leading over Oregon, then Notre Dame, New Mexico. What a great 800-meter leg to put Virginia Tech in the lead, but now it's just the slow grind of the milers. And the best one in the country is currently in 4th position for New Mexico and only about 15 meters off the lead. That's Josh Kerr, the sophomore from New Mexico, the defending champion in the mile.
James West running for Oregon.
Neil Gorley is on the anchor for Virginia Tech. And it's been about 3 hours since they've run that prelim for the mile, maybe a little bit more.
Virginia Tech's race to lose. I mean, they should be the favorite right now. We'll see what happens, but 127 for the first, wow, 127 first 600 meters. It's like on pace for a 156 first 800 meters.
Josh Kerr is fading a little bit. He has moved back into 5th position, and he's easily 30 meters off the lead.
I don't think his day is over with yet, though, Dwight. I'd be surprised if this early in the race.
He doesn't look that fresh to me.
I understand. We still have quite a ways to go here, more than 800 meters, that's all I mean. But you're right, now he's slipping back.
Oh yeah, now Villanova has passed him, Utah State has passed him. Yeah, he has no response.
Different story here.
No response for Josh Kerr for New Mexico, who has to come back and run the mile and defend his title tomorrow. But it continues to be V-Tech out in front by probably, I want to say 12 to 15 meters over Oregon. Notre Dame solidly in 3rd and moving.
Gorley, 158, leading for Virginia Tech in the first 800 meters.
If they're going to contend, they've got to reel him in. Just 400 meters remaining.
3 minutes by 1,200 meters of this race. 3 minutes flat. Now we're talking sub 4 minute miler here with the guy in the lead. This is a big lead for somebody in second, third, or fourth to overcome as Oregon, Notre Dame are right back there.
Gorley continues to just grind away, not really leaving an opening at all. Oregon in second. And Stanford now into third with Notre Dame in fourth. Josh Kerr completely out of it. They are in 11th place. He has no response.
He's just saving himself for the mile tomorrow.
Yeah. Nobody's going to catch Gorley for Virginia Tech.
Utah State moving up. The love underdogs. What a
Notre
great
Dame
performance.
not making the move. Notre Dame is going to get second behind VTech and Oregon and Stanford. It's a great victory. 3:58.6 for Gorley on that anchor for Virginia Tech. So even a almost fresh Josh Kerr back 20 meters at the exchange. That would have been a big ask.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. This has become a premier event to try and win. Let's take a look at what happened here on the exchanges. We saw the carnage early on, but look at Notre Dame right up there, Villanova, Stanford passing that baton, and there was a crash and burn by Indiana on the outside. The first leg tends to be pretty tactical, and that's why these crashes occur. The 400 meters doesn't loosen things up much, but Utah State ran a great exchange for the 400 meters. They got away first. On the final exchange, things became more clear. Virginia Tech, with their outstanding core of distance runners, had open daylight on everybody else. 1:59, 3 minutes flat, and 3:58.6 for Neil Gorley on the anchor, led by Patrick Josephs. Great 1:46, 800-meter leg. Sealed the deal for VTech.
Virginia Tech wins it in the clear over Notre Dame. Oregon, with not their best team, ends up third. Stanford in fourth.